Welcome to the Kingdom Culture Podcast that was created on purpose with a purpose to empower, uplift, and guide others to the center of God's perfect will. Kingdom Culture family, welcome back to the Kingdom Culture Podcast. I hope you guys are having an amazing week. Welcome back to the series of healing through heartbreak. This week I want to talk about something that hit me really hard after my relationship ended. And that was learning how to recognize my value outside of being someone's partner. Because there were moments where my mind went straight to, was I enough? Did I mess this up? What was wrong with me, And I had to really sit with God and bring those thoughts to him so that he could remind me, my truth, which is my worth doesn't start when someone chooses me, and it doesn't disappear because someone leaves or doesn't choose me, right? And it's easier said than accepted, but it's the truth, right? Your worth and values are not set to be put on a relationship, on a job, on anything else outside of the Lord. Those are just my beliefs, but, putting your worth on a relationship really can mess with your mind, your feelings, the way that you see yourself. And the Lord truly brought me through healing by reminding me that my value is in him and not other things, right? And honestly, when you love deeply and a relationship ends, it's really easy to start, tying your value to how things turned out. Like somehow the ending says something about you, but it truly doesn't. So I had to slow down and start asking myself some uncomfortable questions. And those questions were, who am I outside of who I was to them and with them? What do I bring into rooms that has nothing to do with romance? And what parts of me existed long before I even met that person and started the relationship? And because these are deep questions, I truly didn't have any answers for myself. My mind went totally blank. And that's how I realized that a lot of my identity had wrapped itself around being someone's partner, someone's safe space, someone's person. I was so tied up in becoming the best wife that there was, the best mother, all those things, that I kind of let myself, just be that and didn't seek out other parts of me while being in this relationship. And it's beautiful when you have that as well, but let's not forget that you're also a person outside of this relationship. And I'm not saying that it's bad if you do all these things and that's, what you want to be and who you are. There's nothing wrong with it. But for me, I felt like I didn't know who I was. I didn't know, what it felt like, because I wrapped myself so much into that. And I started small, right? I started reminding myself of the things that make me me. My empathy, my resilience, my ability to love deeply, even after being hurt, and it felt awkward sometimes saying that to myself. I had to really sit down and remind myself, hey, you love playing guitar. I didn't play guitar for a long time. You love singing. You love being outside. You love reading. You love learning. The way that you love people is amazing. The way you show up for your friends is amazing. And at first it was awkward because I'm like, why do I have to tell myself this stuff? Because I was doing it in the mirror every single day. I would wake up, do my prayer, and then with God, I would say, these are the things that make me me outside of anything else. Just me. If I was by myself and somebody asked me, what are your values? What are the things that make you you? These are the things that I would say out loud, right? But when you're grieving, being kind to yourself can feel undeserved, right? So that's why it felt awkward. And I kept going. I started reflecting on the things that I've built in my life, the things, the ways that I've grown. I started looking at how I show up in my friendships, in my work, with my family, with my son. Because here's something we don't talk about enough. If you are loving, loyal, intentional, and supportive in other areas of your life, that suddenly didn't disappear because one relationship didn't work. You are who you are at your core outside of anything else. There is nothing else you can add, subtract, whatever, that's going to make you, like more you, right? So, for anyone going through this right now, I wanted to give you 4 things that really helped me rebuild my sense of worth. Number 1 is write down evidence of who you are. Not what someone said about you, like, oh, you have a really cool charisma or something. These are things that are true about you, right? Things like, for me, that came up was like, I'm super loyal. I show up for people. I keep going even when it hurts, And when emotions get loud, written truth keeps you grounded. This really helped me just kind of forget everything else and focus on who I am as a person, right? Number 2, you separate your breakup from your identity. A relationship ending is an event, not a definition. It means something didn't work, not that you're broken, right? And I really want to go into this one because this is what shifted for me. I thought, when I was going through it, I'm like, man, because as a family, everybody saw us as a unit, and everybody loved us. We had so many people, give us love on our wedding day and be so happy for us. And it was a beautiful part of my life. But when it ended, I realized that it wasn't my identity anymore. And so I had to really detach myself from that and realize that there's nothing wrong with me or him. Just some things don't work out, And that's why I said a relationship ending is an event in your life, not a definition or the end of your life. So, this is when you start to going to number 3, which is reconnecting with parts of yourself outside of romance as a whole. Not just the relationship, but romance is a big thing, because I've had it too before in my life where I would end a relationship and I would jump right back into one. And I think that's because I didn't have my sense of identity outside of romance. So this time around, I said, you know what? No. And I'm still doing it. Like I kind of gave myself a timeline, which is funny, right? Because God's like, what timeline do you need? But I don't want to focus on romance. I want to reconnect with parts of myself outside of that. And if the Lord has that for me later, I'm going to welcome it with open arms. But right now I'm just so focused on, me, my passions, my friendships, my purpose, who I was before I even thought about getting married. And I realized that person is still here. So that's what I want you to do. Connect with parts of yourself outside of romance as a whole. What are your passions? What do you want to build? Is there a dream, or is there something you want to learn? Like, I'm learning how to replay, the guitar. Like, I'm reteaching myself, and I'm like, I miss this. I missed when I would just sit and jam, because those are the things that make you you. And when you don't have another person, right, you can have all this, focus outside of somebody else. So pour that back into you, right? Number 4 is bring the thoughts to God instead of battling them alone. When those I'm not enough thoughts come up, don't just fight them. Bring them to God and replace them with truth. This also helped me a lot. And I did it with writing, right? And it wasn't pretty journaling or poetic. It was just honest. Sometimes I was just very deep. Sometimes I'm like, I'm really proud of myself for trying today and still going. And when my mind would start telling me I was replaceable or unlovable, because that will happen, I'd go back and read those things. Because emotions get super loud when your heart is hurting. And writing it out or having the truth in front of you, it's like an affirmation of, who you are. They're not fake. And it's really cool. Because when I was saying all these other things about myself, God said, I am worthy of love without having to prove myself. I bring value just by being who I am. I'm not defined by what didn't work out. And you're going to go through it. You're going to cry. You're going to have all these big emotions. Sometimes you're not even going to want to say them out loud to yourself. But please do. This is what shifted everything for me, because once I started realizing that these things were true, I stopped chasing validation. I stopped shrinking myself to be chosen. I stopped measuring my worth by someone else's capacity to love me. Okay? That's another big thing that you have to realize, and it was a hard truth for me to swallow. The capacity that somebody else has to love you is limited. It's their own capacity. It's their own way of showing up. It's the way that they show love. And if we put our values and our, who we are in that capacity, it could feel like, it's never going to be enough. Because it's not going to be. We are people, right? The only one that has, immense capacity of things is the Lord. And it was just really cool for me to figure that out. And that's why I'm talking to you about it now, The right people don't give you value. They recognize the value that was already there and they add on to your life. Let me say that again. The right people don't give you value. They recognize the value that you have and add on to your life. Okay? So, remember, you are not too much, you are not hard to love, and you are not disposable. You are still whole, even here, even now. And your value is never and was never up for debate, okay? Remember that you are always a person outside of anything else, outside of your job, outside of your relationship, outside of your friendships. You are who you are, okay? And your value should be set on the Lord. And then if you're not a person of faith, still, there's nothing outside of you that's going to make you more like you. So this was really cool for me to learn. And there's this verse that, the Lord brought me back to every single time. And it's in Isaiah 43:4 that says, "You are precious and honored in my sight, and I love you." You are precious and honored in my sight, and I love you. That's what the Lord says. Not because of a relationship, not because someone chose you, but because God did it first. Thank you so much for being here with me this week. I hope this brought value to your life. If you liked it, please share it. Put it on your Instagram stories or socials. Tag me. I'm always so happy to bring, things like this because it's really cool to see the end of it, because when you're first going through things, it's hard. And now I can help other people with it. So anyways, don't forget that I love you, but the Lord loves you more. Always, always, always. And we will see you guys next week. God bless.